This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
Hello, this is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com. This past week was the International Brotherhood of Magicians annual convention in Pittsburgh, which I was unable to attend, but I do plan to go to the SAM convention in New Orleans next week, unless something prohibits that, because I've got a lot of things going on in my life, not the least of which I just am in the process of moving from Houston to Georgetown, Texas, which is a suburb just north of Austin. So that may take up some of my time trying to get some things done before I get out of here sometime in September, I suspect. And speaking of September, I am planning to go to Munich, Germany, and go to the Oktoberfest this year. I had to postpone that trip from 2020 for some obvious reasons there, and so I know we have a lot of listeners in Germany, and when I had mentioned that a few years ago, I had some wonderful friends and listeners who said, hey, while you're here, I'd like to be able to show you around a little bit, and maybe we can go and have a beer, do some magic somewhere, and perhaps we can pick that up where we left off last time. So if any of you are listening in Germany and want to host me, or at least kind of show me around your town, I'd love to do that. I'll be in Germany from September the 16th through the 24th, and I hope to be able to see a few German magicians and some of my listeners while I'm there. So if you are interested in getting together, you can contact me through email or a variety of other ways. I'd love to spend some time with you guys while I'm over there. I want to get right to our guest here this week, Buddy Farnan, who is an amazing gentleman, and he has certainly lived a life of firsts. And he was a pioneer in children's television magic shows. He was Buckskin Joe, and on television station in Buffalo. He was also general manager of Funtown in Atlanta, and they did several kinds of television shows with kind of a peanut gallery, just a bunch of kids that were in the audience as well, and showing cartoons and doing magic. And this was back in early 1960s, and he has also served working with advertising agencies, and things he has done that have been some firsts are just amazing. And the people he has met along the way, and at 89 years old, he just has a great recollection and a wonderful sense of humor. And I know you're going to enjoy hearing from our guest this week. Please welcome my friend, Mr. Buddy Farnan, here on The Magic Word. I come to Buffalo each year for the 4F convention. That's Fechter's Finger Flicking Frolic. And there is a gentleman here who I got to know many years ago. And although I didn't live in the area, I have heard that he was a predominant figure on the television out here in Buffalo for a long number of years, and someone who a lot of people said they grew up seeing him on television and other kinds of shows that he has done, and he is a living legend, and I'm surprised that we just haven't had the chance to talk before, but I've been wanting to sit down and talk with him with a more extensive conversation, and now is that chance for me to talk with Buddy Farnan. Hey there, Buddy. How are you, man?
You flatter me. The legend part.
Well,
I get goosebumps.
You have done so much, and you have influenced so many people's lives. I'm sure you've had, I started to say kids, adults who were kids who come up to you then and say, I remember XYZ, And when they say, what is it that they remember most about you when they say that? You get those compliments, I'm sure, all the time.
Well, I used to have a television show here that was, it was really an advertising element for an amusement park called Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm.
And
long before the television show Fantasy Island with
right.
Mr. Rourke.
Yeah. No. And it just happened that I had been in two other amusement parks.
Oh.
And in Buffalo, the television show, yeah, my better half always kids me. Was Buckskin Joe.
Buckskin Joe. That was your name
Yeah.
for the show? Okay.
Isn't that terrible?
Did you wear buckskin? I mean, like in the fringe and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was at the amusement park had a Western theme.
Yeah.
And we had shows and can dancers and
Yeah.
the like. And it was...
Yeah, the shootouts and all that kind of stuff, I guess. And,
Oh, yes. And it was broadcast in Toronto, Rochester, Buffalo. And then I went on to Atlanta. And I had a television show in Atlanta, too.
and you weren't Buckskin Joe there, I assume?
No, I said I'd never do that again.
Been there, done that. I'm moving on.
Never do that again. I remember my brand new wife was with her gang one time, and they were talking about their husbands, and one said, "My husband's a doctor," and another one said, "Oh, my husband's a lawyer."
Yeah.
And Gene said, "My husband's a cowboy."
You got us beat.
Yeah, it's a breakout thing. Yeah. And in Atlanta, it was another amusement facility, amusement park, a theme park. It was called Funtown.
Okay.
And for 7 years, it was operated, but never made a dime.
Now, what years would that have been?
It was 60. When I was there, I got there at 64, 65.
Okay.
And the park, I did everything that I did all the other parks. And that was the first time that they met. Oh, the reason that I went to Atlanta was to see that the amusement park was integrated. They were not integrated.
They were segregated. I mean, black and white. I mean, back then, back in the 60s, sure.
Yes.
Before civil rights and all that, yeah.
And the fairgrounds, which was across the expressway, black people could show up only on Thursday evenings. It was kind of weird.
At a certain time.
Yeah.
And then they could populate the park, and I assume white people probably left.
Never showed up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like, actually? I mean, living in that kind of environment in that time. I mean, a lot of young people today cannot relate. They hear this in stories and in school and everything, but to actually have lived through that, where they had, whites only drinking from this water fountain, or they couldn't be in the pool, or
Exactly.
I mean, what?
Oh, yes. And the thing that was interesting was that Dr. King mentioned me in his first autobiography.
Really?
Funtown was now open
For blacks to come in, and they were welcome.
Yes,
Okay.
and his family, I had him there quite a few times.
So you knew him?
Yes.
You had met him?
And I still get calls every once in a while from Stanford University writing something about Dr. King's world.
Yeah.
The last one was they were using his publications that he did from jail. I mean, it's, you start out, you're a magician.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're a cowboy.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you're a radio guy and a television guy. And holy cow, you're involved in the
Civil rights orbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, out of all the things I've done, that's one of the things that I'm probably most proud of.
Most proud of, I would
Yes.
imagine so.
And at one moment in the life of this amusement park, it was, I think, 3 years from the time that I had been there, and I got fired.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Because
a company from Boston was an Irish last name, and I forget what it is. Anyway, they wanted to be on the stock market,
okay.
and the only way to get there quickly was to buy a company that was on the stock market. And
Okay,
they
makes
did.
sense, yeah.
And they spent a lot of money, and the only way they could get their money back was to sell whatever they had. And
Sure.
one of the things they had was a bunch of amusement rides,
Oh, theme parks.
so they dumped them.
When you said rides, so theme parks or actually the rides in theme parks?
Rides. They closed the park, sold
Okay.
the rides.
I understand.
That's what
Okay.
it was.
Well, a lot of companies do that when they buy out something else in order to,
Standard route. And as soon as that happened, people from a place called Lake Spivey outside of Atlanta, Dr. and Mrs. Spivey got in touch with me. He said, "Buddy, come in and let's talk." And the next thing I know, I was really out of work about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And then we managed to make the next year the first swimming facility that was okay for blacks to show up.
Mm-hmm. And so there were blacks and whites. It was segregated at
Yes.
that point. I mean, integrated. Pardon me. So
Yeah. Yes. Well, I was very proud of that. And the other one, I finally got it. They wanted to get out of the business, and we got it sold to a bunch of Arabs, and they were happy, and I got a bonus.
And you stayed on with the company then?
No, I started an advertising agency.
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot. We're going to get into that here in just a minute. I want to go back again to Dr. King. So when Martin Luther King was going through all the civil rights and the marches in Selma and all of that, were you involved with any of the marches and doing any of that then too?
I never got involved with any of the marches, just the major product.
Okay.
Get it? See that they were integrated.
Yeah, right. Wow. And I misunderstood that also when you were saying that you were doing television because this was a marketing idea. So the television was for the theme park, or you
Yes.
were doing...
No.
Okay.
The theme parks. The first, and then Ted Turner hired me in Atlanta
Okay.
to do a children's program on television.
On his, what was his station? CMT or
Yeah. Well,
TNT? Yeah, Turner.
And that was... it
in
was
the early days, I guess, when he was getting his network started.
And also, it became the first show that was broadcast down to Florida.
Okay. So it was a regional thing, not just local to Atlanta.
Right. It was the first show, a television show online.
Wow, on the computer. You can watch this through the internet. Kind of, it was streamed?
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, so I was another one of those firsties. It's hard.
Now,
hard to believe. Yes.
Did you have a like a peanut gallery, kind of a thing like Buffalo Bob did with Howdy Doody and all that kind of thing
did.
too? Okay.
And Buffalo Bob was a good friend.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yes.
He was one of my heroes.
Yes.
I saw him once in my college. He came and he brought Howdy Doody with him, and I thought, oh, my gosh, I can die. This is great.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was an inspiration, to me. Very, something part of my childhood. Is just as I said at the beginning of this, I know that you were part of many other people's childhood then as well because they grew up watching you. Now, were you just on Saturday mornings or like throughout the week, every day, or like Bozo was?
Every day for Ted Turner.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Mm-hmm.
Just the weekend for the amusement parks. Yes.
But the amusement park was not a television thing. That was where you were doing like a show on stage.
No. We did a television show for
from the theme park.
It was in the studio, but it was presented as
as if you were in the theme park. Okay, because you were promoting the theme park. Was it similar from the standpoint you had a gallery of children there in this weekend as well as the weekdays? Okay.
Yes.
How did it differ from the weekend versus the weekday shows?
You didn't have we didn't have the peanut gallery for the week shows.
The weekday shows, because the kids were in school, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Now, and were they broadcast live, or were those recorded earlier? Or?
All recorded.
Okay. Yeah. And were they, I assume, half-hour shows?
I believe the term taped.
Yes. And they were half-hour shows?
Yes.
30-minute shows. And did you have cartoons to supplement that, or did you do magic?
Never had any cartoons.
No, really?
At all on these programs.
So what did you do?
I used the talent from the park.
Oh, okay.
We had puppets. Mm-hmm. We had...
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Yes.
For quality content
Yes.
daily.
And we had singers, talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just used everybody that I could think of, that I knew.
Right.
And it really was pretty good. I was proud of it.
And you did some magic also? A little bit.
Isn't that amazing? Yes. Yes.
I was thinking back for an example to out the Magic Land of Alakazam, with Mark Wilson and the kinds of things that he was always coming up with. And he was constantly, between him and Bev Bergeron having to come up with all these, and he had a great crew of other people.
I worked with Bergeron, yes.
Okay.
But Nanny Darnell, come on.
Yep, she just had her 90th birthday here recently.
Yes.
It was great.
Oh, and she's such a charmer.
Isn't she? Yeah.
Total.
Yeah, and their son Greg really is keeping that alive. The legacy alive of Magic Land of Alakazam.
Yes.
And so it was a similar show, but my question, I guess, is about the kinds of people, or who did you have that you consulted with that helped you with your other ideas? Because I would think it'd be difficult for one person to be coming up with something daily.
It was one person.
It was. Yeah. It was just you.
It was Irma. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Was there some time in which you felt like you were up against the wall, in which that it's like, okay, it's going to be in an hour, and my trick that I'm thinking of is not going to work. I'm going to have to scrap it and do something else?
Well, and in a lot of the shows, I used local magicians.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I cheated.
Okay, so it didn't have to depend upon you every week.
Oh, they were so happy to be on television.
Of course, sure.
Well, like Billy Bishop doing the show in Chicago.
Yeah.
What a good advertising gimmick as far as making a living out of card tricks.
Did you have people who came in from all over the country? It wasn't just, you say from Chicago, and you were in Atlanta.
Yes, if they're passing through.
Okay, so it's just that they were coming through, like working a trade show, or they were just whatever. Okay, so it wasn't that you had said, "Oh, I want to tap out this person who is in L.A. I want to fly you to here for the day." Okay.
And one of the other things that we did while we were in Chicago, and Billy helped me too, was the fact that we had the first. I've done a lot of firsts.
Okay.
We had the first. Selling things over TV.
Okay, kind of like what Marshall Brodeen did with TV magic cards kind of a thing, but you were the first of doing that.
But it wasn't magic, it was product.
Like what, for example?
I cannot forget.
Okay.
The very first product was Chia Pet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's still going.
Yes.
It's still going, and it's still growing weeds on a piece of clay. It's wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, that's quite a product.
And Billy and I also did another show that was called The Magic of Magic. It was the first tape that I did. That word, you can't use it now. Yeah. No. The first tape I did was how to avoid being cheated at cards. Another one was the same thing, only phase 2. Mm-hmm. And then Billy and I did one that was called The Magic of Magic. And that was a big show where we did the show on the stage. And then we went off stage, and one of the stage hands wanted to learn how to do a magic trick. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were selling, was this package.
Okay.
That had tricks in it.
Okay.
And it was sold in Walmart. It was sold in Kmart. It was sold in all over the darn place.
Were they boxes, like
yes,
magic kits, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were made in the U.S.? They weren't made overseas?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And
did it have your name on it, or should it have the name of the advertiser? Or?
No, we just we didn't.
You didn't brand it.
You got the tape, And the instructions on that tape said
Okay.
how to do it. So, yes, our name was on it.
Okay.
And I even sold it, pitched it on, what's one of those other sell things on television?
You mean like the QVC?
Yes.
Those kinds of channels.
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Which for those people who are listening overseas, QVC is a network that, they have a bunch of things for sale, whether they're jewelry or bed sheets and all kinds of stuff, and they tell you about the product, and then they have the price, and because if you buy right now, you get it for a lower price, but you better hurry at the end of the hour or whatever, the price goes back up or something. So.
Yes. It was fun. Only this time it was broadcast from L.A.
Okay.
And L.A. happens to be one of my favorite cities.
Why is that?
People don't believe me when I say that.
No, because the traffic is some of the worst in the world there.
Do I digress? When I was like 19,
Okay. We'll go back, rewind here into history.
Yeah.
Get in our time travel tube.
When I was 19, I was able to talk another guy that worked at the television station in Buffalo. We were in the mail room,
Okay.
and we went.
Not the email room, but the mail room.
We went to California, and got there after 5 days of travel in a 1928 Studebaker. I'm old. And
How old are you right now?
I-
Are you 87?
no, 80 freaking 9.
89. You look
And-
great.
And the nice lady in my life has already made reservations in Blackpool, England, the Magic Convention there. Airline.
You mean for
tickets.
this next year?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be there.
I'll be there.
Have you been there before? Have you attended
No.
Blackpool? Fun time. It's a great time.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Well, that's why she said, let's go there.
Yeah, good.
On my 80th birthday, she took me to London for the weekend.
How cool is that? Did you go to the Magic Circle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as all the tickets are all done, as far as the convention in Liverpool, I mean Blackpool.
Blackpool, yeah.
Yeah. She said, you better not die.
So you have something to live for, right?
Yes.
You always have to have something, to look forward to in our lives.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's a sweetie pie.
I want to go back a minute also because you had said something about working radio before television. So you were a radio announcer, and with that, were you like a drive-time talk show host or
I
what?
was never a radio announcer.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you said first radio. Okay.
I bought it.
Oh, okay. What?
I bought the station. Yeah.
Okay, so you owned the station, but you were not on it as a DJ or anything then?
Well, I did commercials. And
Okay, right. But you were not an on-show host?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also decided to go to school in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Can I say a little story?
I want to hear one, sure. That's why we're here.
I was in the military, our side.
Our side, okay,
Yeah,
good.
that was a surprise.
For the good
Right.
side, okay.
No, and
Was this World War I or II? You were the one saying you were old.
This is a test. Had this been a real...
You'd be in
Anyway,
trouble.
yeah, I was great. What did I say? I fought and I fought and I fought, but I had to go anyway. And ended up in Europe. I was supposed to be a radio announcer,
Oh,
but they didn't let me do that.
Okay.
They let me be a magician.
what? Wow.
That's what I did in the military.
Not USO shows, but actual for the
Yes.
different troops. He went.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Where did you go? Like Germany or
Germany, yeah. I was supposed to go to Korea, but this was 53, 50,
early 50s?
yeah, 54.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go to Korea, and somehow something happened. I don't know what, but I was on an airplane I was on a boat going to Europe. And that's how I ended up in Germany. And we did shows in Austria, in France. I'm one of those people who did a little deal at the Eiffel Tower once.
Up at the top of the tower?
At the restaurant.
Restaurant? Yeah.
Second level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like walk around at the tables?
Yes,
or do you do like a platform type of a
Yes,
nightclub
and everybody
show?
was surprised that I didn't speak French. I said I didn't have to. Most of them were Americans.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, there. Oh, and I've worked all over Europe.
But when you were in the war, you were saying, and you went then to Germany, and you were performing for the troops, were you doing close-up like that at the tables, or were you doing like a stand-up kind of a parlor show or nightclub show? Or?
I did dances. I did.
You were a dance man, too.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't Gene Kelly or
How did they know that you were a magician? Did you kind of let them know? Or Did you were interested in that, or did someone say, "Hey, you ought to see Barney, you ought to see him, Mr. Farnan, do this"?
No, I was. Well, actually, I was. The first day that I was in Germany, in Frankfurt, Germany, and went to the Kaserne that I was. We went to the cafeteria because we just trucked in. I was in my combat boots and all this and that. And there was a sign saying talent contest. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's all. Just
where do I sign up?
Yeah. So I went over there and I went to the Playboys Club. That was actually where all the guys got together.
Yep. That must have been the early days of the club.
Yeah. And they wouldn't let me in the talent contest. They said you had to audition.
Oh.
And that was going to take place last Tuesday, and this is Thursday.
You missed it.
I'm sorry, we can't let you in. And I said, but I just got here, huh?
Yeah.
And there was an MP there who also was a service club commando. Turned out, he was from Buffalo.
Okay.
So that night I was in the show. Damn it if I didn't win.
You did? How cool is that?
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
All I could think of is all those people that were, in. And this was in November, and they called me back to be in the big show that was going to be in around all around Germany, Frankfurt area.
Okay.
And like that. And it continued. And I remember one time that I got a call from 7th Army headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany. Buddy, we'd like you to be the MC for the All-Army Talent Contest. And I said, wow, great. What happens? They say, well, you MC all the things, and one of the winners will go to New York City.
Had you ever MC'd anything before that?
Heavens, yes.
Okay. So you were the right guy for the job.
You see, I was 17.
I thought you had to be 18.
But no. This was pre-Army.
Okay.
I was 17, and Buddy, a magician, said, who was at the University of Buffalo, he said, we were looking for an MC for the big talent contests of the sororities and fraternities. 17. I'd never even been on a university step. And I went up there and mispronounced all the different fraternities and sororities. They thought I meant it, and I thought I was lucky to get away alive. I really was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I walked out, and before I left the lot, the same guy came running. They want to know if you can come back next year.
They loved you.
Yes, who knows?
Wow.
I mean, have I ever been to a university? Yes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so there I am in Frankfurt, Germany, and by then I have been in association with a lovely lady. Her name was Patricia Colbert. She get a relative, I think, doing that night show.
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. Only she called her name Colbert.
Okay.
And we're standing on the bridge about 10 o'clock at night over the Main River in Frankfurt. And she said to me, buddy, marry me. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I never made more than $1 an hour on a real job at that time. And anyway, after a few moments and tears, she said, I understand exactly, but you have to promise me one thing. Anything at that point. I promise you anything.
Yeah.
She said that you'll go to college. Mm-hmm. If it hadn't been for her, I never would have gone to college.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. But it was because of love.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I decided to try and go to the University of Southern California. I had to take... I've been out of high school now 5 years. I should have graduated when I was 16. But I was out of high school now for 5 years, and I had to take that test
Interest.
again.
Mm-hmm. ACT.
Yeah, and somehow I made it. And I went to the University of Southern California, and they took me.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it was one of the most expensive schools in the country. But anyway, my first day at college. You wanted stories. You got stories.
Yes.
First day at college, I bumped into this very beautiful lady sitting on the steps of where I would have been taking most of my classes. And I still had a lump in my throat for Europe, and she was from England. And she had this beautiful voice. She was a very beautiful young lady. Mm-hmm. And because it was English, I sat down and said hello. I found out her name was Catherine. Mm-hmm. And I said, you want to go have a cup of tea? And she said, yeah, oh, yes. And off we went, and on that basis only, I ended up, 2 months later, I found out she won 2 Academy Awards for Walt Disney. One was Alice in Wonderland. She was Alice, and they drew all the pictures from her. And the other one was Peter Pan. She was Wendy. The same.
So she voiced those.
She did the voiceovers, but they did the characters. They did cartoons of
kind of based on them.
Yeah, and just wonderful. And I remember meeting her mom, and her mom said, "What was your national heritage?" Well, I thought, if I say Irish, I'm a dead duck.
That's not going to be good?
Yeah, not for that English person. So I swelled out my chest and said, Welsh, which my mother is.
Okay.
And she said, oh, that's too bad.
That's too bad.
Well, that ended that.
So that was the end of that. You didn't pass the muster, I guess.
But we continued for a while. I mean, that was pleasant.
Well, what happened to Colbert?
Oh, she came to college to see me, to make sure that I went there.
But she didn't pursue that any further after you said no? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, she found a doctor on a boat.
Okay.
And lived happily ever after.
Love boat.
Yes.
There we go. Found love on the Love Boat.
And where was I going?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
University of Southern California. I applaud the place. It's in the heart of the showbiz world.
Right.
And I bumped into another lady who was working in a men's store just off of campus. And her name was Jana Banana.
Seriously?
Okay. It was Jana Bryant.
Okay.
No, but we, yes. And I figured she was such a kind lady, and she was working. So we got chummy and everything.
That's good. She's working, got a paycheck.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was a student, though.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. Had a part-time job.
yes. And it turns out that her godfather was Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
Been out to the
Ranch.
ranch, yes.
Okay.
I mean, only at the USC can you do that. That's
Right.
all. Anyway, so back to my world of advertising. I started my own ad agency in Atlanta, and it turned out to be one of the top 3 ad agencies
In Atlanta?
in Atlanta.
Really? Because I started out in advertising. I mean, I'm familiar with Foot Cone and Building and,
Yeah.
all the others.
Yeah, those are the
Big ones out in New York.
historically wonderful.
Yeah. That's always fascinated me. One of the top 3. Now, I assume then that you were in all kinds of media. So you probably had your own producer and director. You had television, commercials you did, as well as the print media and the buyer and all that kind of stuff.
I handled like the NASCAR track for racing.
Okay.
The sports car track for the itty-bitty cars.
But you lived during the time, for those people in the U.S. who are familiar with the television show Mad Men, that was kind of your era.
Absolutely.
Could you relate to that show?
Very much so.
I bet you got some good stories there, too.
Yeah, this is, no. My mother may be, no, did she pass away? I forgot that. But the times were wonderful. I mean, we had Chick-fil-A used to be one of my clients.
Okay.
And Ted Turner was one of my favorite stations to go on because he was really
He's a media mogul.
not at that time.
Not at that time. He was just getting started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
He's probably still dating Jane Fonda back then.
no, he didn't even know her.
Oh, okay. Well, even before that. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
No, he had a beautiful wife who lived in Charleston, and she was gorgeous. And he had, I think, 2 or 3 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
And it was like that he was doing
So
everything he could to keep the company going.
Okay.
Because his father left him a signboard. I'll call it a signboard. Never mind outdoor advertising.
Okay.
Business, and it was floundering, and everything else was floundering, and he managed to make it go. Anyway,
And obviously he got to be successful because he saw you and had you come down.
yeah, because he figured
from Buffalo to Atlanta.
He figured that the children market would
Right.
carry him through. So
Interesting.
he ended up doing a lot of children shows.
Yeah. What was the name of the show, by the way, in Atlanta?
Buddy Farnan's Super Funnies or something. No, yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you should
but,
know.
But it was my name on it.
Okay,
This was the first time, yeah. Anyway, with all of this stuff that's going on, we did the first cable show in the country.
Okay.
I did another one that was an experiment where I played cards with 5 different cities.
Okay.
And
In real time.
yeah. And, well,
And this would have been back in the 60s?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, early 70s.
Okay. So you said you had a lot of firsts. What were some other firsts that you had done?
In the shopping center business.
Did The indoor shopping center or the strip malls?
No, the
Indoor shopping center, the big things, the big malls.
The big, and where they all had promotions, and you had to come up with at least 2 promotions every month, and they better be damn good, otherwise you're going out the door.
Okay.
I had 15 malls as part of our stuff.
Right. Well, back then, malls were just growing about probably 1 or 2 a week around the U.S.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then I got a telephone call. I had a divorce.
Okay.
I acquittiated.
You what?
Acquittiated.
Acquittiated.
Yeah, that was my divorce.
I've never heard that term.
I make up things.
Okay.
Yeah, acquittiated.
You're killing me, man. Okay.
And after that happened, I bumped into another lady because now I'm single. And here was this. I was at a party, and they said, buddy, there's a lady over here that's not having a good time, and she speaks German. Can you go over and talk to her? We became good friends. Her name was Tanya.
Okay.
That sounds good. And Tanya was a smart sucker. And we became good friends, and it was around Christmas time.
Of what year?
It would have been 74.
Okay.
I know that for a fact.
Okay.
And she's home, and she gets a call from her mother. And she says, Tanya's real first name is Yvonne. But
was her stage name or something? Or?
No. Oh.
Okay.
Well, you're getting ahead of me. Stand by, America. Anyway, the fun part was she got a telephone call from her mom.
Back in Germany?
Yes.
Okay.
They had, actually, she came from Bulgaria.
Okay.
And her mother had moved to Germany, to Hamburg. And she said, "Why? It's the holiday season. Why are you home?" And Tanya said, "No, somebody's going to pick me up shortly." And her mother, like all mothers would say, well, most mothers would say, is he a nice guy? Or,
Yeah.
She said, "What does he do's?" She didn't ask my name. What does he do's? And Tanya is flailing around in her mind. How do I say in English? It's advertising, but in German, what is it? Bulgaria. How do I say it in Bulgaria? And she told her mother, I was a magician.
Okay, completely different than advertising.
3 phone calls later that night, we send you money, you come home, and you marry your cousin. You ready for this?
Okay.
Prince Cinco. I got myself involved in the high and mighties that used to run Europe. Yes.
You like the Habsburgs or something, or what?
She's related to all of those
Oh,
people.
the royalty back then.
Yes.
Wow, and you had no idea, of course.
None.
Yeah.
Her father was a duke, which in German is the first. And I mean, it just stunned me. We finally got married.
Oh, did you? Okay. So what does that make you? A marquise, or you have any title because of marrying into the family?
Yeah, broke. Did I say that right?
Broke buddy. Instead of Lord Buddy, is broke buddy.
Go get a. If you're going to the store, get a bottle of wine. Bring it back. The case comes in cases now. And anyway, and Tanya was something else. But then I found out all about all the things that she did. She was in the movies, the German theater.
Okay.
She used to go out with one of the Beatles, Paul.
Wow.
She loved to talk about spending the summers at the Bismarck resort at Lake Como in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, been there lots of times, and all these people. We would get every once in a while. I swear, we got a telephone call, and I say, "Who's that?" And she said, "Beatrix." I said, "Who is Beatrix?" She said, "You know, the lady who's going to be the Queen of Holland."
Oh, that Beatrix.
And Beatrix has been the Queen of Holland. Her son is now King of Holland. And no baloney.
You ever call them up and say, "Hey, how's it going?" Yeah. This is broke buddy.
Yes, send some tulips. Anyway, I told you my stories are really. Yeah, I could be lying through my teeth.
Well, they sound great.
And the lady that I'm currently with is just a gem because she didn't believe me either.
Did you divorce the other one, or did she pass?
She passed.
Okay.
Oh, she told me it was going to happen. We had
She predicted her demise?
We had no. Yes, she said we had no children because they would be. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It sounded like if she was going to marry her cousin, they probably had done a lot of that.
It was the inbreeding that came from the who's who.
Yeah, gotcha.
And on that, she refused to have any children.
Makes sense.
And she passed, yes.
Okay. So, the next lady you were talking about.
And I bumped into a little lady. First of all, I came to save another business. The first business, the first big in Chicago was a place called Old Chicago. It was owned by the Illinois Central Gulf Railroad. They funded it. And they called me.
This was after the ad agency.
Yeah. They called me. I gave the ad agency to the lady that I divorced or got divorced and divested. And she, a year later, put it down the tubes.
She couldn't run it.
Right. Because I wasn't there.
You were, yeah.
I wasn't there.
Right.
Unfortunately, yes. I owed, I don't know, $1 million+ dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I got a call from a headhunter, and I ended up taking over the project in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up also doing movies in the property and.
That you were producing, directing?
No, it was the big wheels from Hollywood.
Okay, but what was your involvement with those movies?
Seeing that they got everything they wanted to come there. And that was really, I was back in Los Angeles again,
Mm-hmm.
And
you said you really love L.A. What is it about L.A. you love the most? Why L.A. as opposed to Atlanta or Buffalo?
Stories. I had a lot of stories there.
Okay. And apparently good ones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 19 and I showed up there, first thing I did is go to the USO Club, which was several blocks away from where we decided to hang out, and met. I used to say, when people say, why are you going to Los Angeles? And I said, because I wanted to meet Debbie Reynolds. That first week, I met Debbie Reynolds at the Hollywood USO.
Wow.
And have pictures to prove it, et cetera. And also met another young lady whose name was Annie. Her name was Anne Patricia Leslie. For the record, anybody paying attention?
I thought you were going to say Anne Margaret.
Yeah. And her one night she said, "My car broke down. Can you give me a ride home?"
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a car, but Al did, the other guy that I went there with.
Mm-hmm.
So we came and went down this big long street and up the mountains in Hollywood, and another little zigzaggy street. And there it was, a beautiful English cottage. I expected somebody to be talking to me, but they didn't. They spoke English.
Yeah.
And here you are. And it was a wonderful evening. And Annie said, "You want to come in for a cup of coffee?" So, yes, this is the first house that we had been into since we got to California.
Yeah.
And we walked into the house, and high and behold, that's not the same as lo and behold. High and behold, the house went down 3 stories down the side of the mountain.
Wow.
And used to belong to Bela Lugosi.
Oh, my.
And but now the Leslies had it. And Phil Leslie wrote the Fibber, McGee, and Molly show.
Oh, sure. For the radio.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This thing right here, yeah.
Right. Right.
And
I always had that closet full of stuff. Don't open the closet.
yes,
Yeah.
and everything that we did, eventually, they invited me to come and live with them there.
Wow. And you did for how long?
The rest of the year,
Okay.
because I got drafted.
Okay.
And Annie took me to the airport in
In the
Burbank.
Navy, Army?
Pardon?
In the Navy, Army, Marines?
Army. And Annie took me to the Burbank Airport, which is still my favorite airport.
I agree.
And as the plane pulled away, I looked at her out the window, still there. I cried like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Anyway, and then that's when I went into the military. But before I went into military, I helped a friend in Buffalo refabric a little Taylorcraft airplane, which is really a kite with wings. Mm-hmm. And went for a ride with the day after we finished the job, flew to have dinner with some friends, and then came back, and their wind went up as we were going back. Make a long story longer. We crashed the plane.
Oh, my gosh.
I fell out of a tree that I never climbed up.
You landed in the tree and
Yes.
fell out of the tree. Okay.
No, the airplane fell out too.
Yeah.
Went all the way down. I wiped out the instrument panel with my face,
My.
and like that.
That's why you're so handsome today.
Yeah, this is a recording. And what did they used to say? They still say it. I have a face for radio.
Face for radio, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, that adventure into the military out of it, into the school business, and then the adventures with integration, and
Then into advertising and
yeah,
and all that.
and
Goodness.
meeting another. I got a call while I was in Chicago because I was through with that one. They said here, and they gave me my bonus. Mm-hmm. And I got a call from somebody that I had done a lot of business with. They were Christmas decor people. Mm-hmm. And I got a call, and the nice lady, said, "Buddy, we would like to ask you if you would come and join our company." Ooh, that sounds good. she said, we don't know if we can make payroll next week. You want to come?
Yeah, how
Now,
attractive is that?
I know that's the time you can make a good deal.
Yeah.
What did I have to lose? I said, yes. Yeah. Well, their company ended up, they were, when I left them, they were millionaires. And met a little girl. She was 4'11" 3/4. That's
almost 5 feet.
That's Linda. Yeah.
Okay.
And Linda found me interesting. And just to tell you the kind of girl she was a hippie. And one day the boss who owned the place, he didn't run it really, was accusing one of the salespeople that they had cheated on the darn expense report. It was like $10, whatever it was that he was accused of.
Right.
And the ladies ran into the Johns and locked the doors. It was a tumult to beat all tumults.
Right.
And it settled down, and he walked into Linda's office, supposedly to have her type a memo or something. And when he walked into her office, she had a water pistol filled and emptied it in his face.
Okay.
She wasn't going to let him get away with it. And the next day I arrived back, and Evelyn, his wife, said, buddy, I'm so happy you weren't here yesterday. And I said, did you want me to fire Linda Jones? And she said, no, but I'd appreciate if she found another job, a Southern way. And we're doing shopping centers and malls. It took us a week and a half to get her a brand new job as the marketing director at one of the malls. And it was the largest mall between Atlanta and Washington. And they paid her a lot more money. And eventually, in buying Christmas stuff, I switched to another company. And we both competed, the original company, which was called the Howard Harrell Company, in Forest City, North Carolina, originally called Burnt Chimney.
Okay.
And anyway, we ended up being competitors for a Christmas decor program. Budget was about $350,000. The add-ons ended up taking it up to $500,000. Okay. Yeah, and I won. It was Linda's mall.
Oh,
but she didn't make the decision. She knew it would be terrible if she did.
Yeah.
And she made the boss do it, the guy that owned the place.
Interesting.
And we won.
Now, during that time, it kind of bringing you forward to where we are then today, did you continue to always have magic as far as not just a profession, but also...
That was the magic word.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a salesperson and you show some dude a magic trick or something, the next time he sees you, he doesn't remember your name.
Right.
You bring the magician in here. Yeah. Right. And everybody else said, "Why? Come on, he just got here."
Everybody tells jokes, but not everybody does magic.
Yes.
That differentiates the salesman from all the rest.
Big time. Well, thank you for bringing that up. It was the magic. Yeah.
That really made you stand out from the rest.
And I talk people into being interested in magic and out of being a magician. I want you to go to college. I want you to get a good job. I want you to get involved in something that's because you're always hustling for another show. And
Well, that's the job of a magician, is to get the next job.
Yeah, if you're not into advertising, if you're not into marketing, if you're not into, you've got to struggle. You got a lot of birthday parties, and that's good enough, but that's not going to make you buy a car.
So your point, I have a lot in common from the standpoint of knowing I was in advertising also, and then in sales. And sales is a lot what magic is. You're trying to get somebody to believe what you're selling them, basically,
Absolutely,
as being
yes.
the truth and better than what anyone else has available to sell. So, well, as we close over here, speaking of, and you say the magic word, and that's true, since that's the name of my podcast called The Magic Word. What is it that is your philosophy of life? What is it that you live by? What is your magic word or phrase? What's important to you?
I would say be a good guy.
Okay.
I mean,
You'll go far in life.
be nice, yes. No reason to be angry. And just be a good guy.
Yeah, good advice. That's great. Buddy, thanks for your time.
Oh, are you kidding?
This is great.
What's an ego?
What's an ego?
I certainly have whitewashed one and slapped it up here. Yes. No, it's all true, and it is at 89. It's been a good story. It's really, I'm happy for those magic tricks.
Right. A really good run. That's been
Absolutely.
great. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Buddy Farnan. This is Scotty out. Thank you, Buddy, for your time. I appreciate all your stories and everything. It was fantastic. I hope that a lot of people who are listening to this who have never known Buddy, and perhaps some other countries, or perhaps younger people who, of course, never saw the TV show or went to the theme park or anything and knew anything about you, have made a new friend now this week by getting to hear about your past and the influence that you had on the early days pioneering of magic on television here. So you're an important and legendary figure for our art, our community. And speaking of which, I want to draw your attention also. There was a video interview that Mayor Yedid did with Buddy. And if you go to themagicwordpodcast.com for the blog this week, there is a place where you can click on that, and it will take you over to Mayor's website where you can have an opportunity to see a little 17-minute video. And he tells some other stories that are different from, additional stories from what he tells us here this week. So, until next week, stay well, get booked, and remember, there's no need to get angry. Just be nice and be a good guy or a good gal. This is Scotty out.